Siomra
Hello, welcome back to the tiny room. I am Michael, son of Patrick, and I am joined by Benjamin, son of Jezza.
Nailed it. That was pretty good.
Welcome back to Michaelandbenjamin. It was supposed to be Red Skull, but I didn't do a German accent.
Oh, yeah, okay. Do you want to start the pod again?
Nah. Welcome back to Tiny Room, Michaelandbenjaminspodcast. I'm Michaelandbenjaminspodcast, and I am joined by the man to whom I am somewhat of a father figure. It's Benjamin. Say hello, Benjamin.
That's a stretch. Hello, Benjamin. Today's episode is brought to you by Power Washing on a Sunday morning.
Benjamin, I think that our sound gate and audio and noise reduction device will make that an irrelevant comment. No one will hear the power washing outside.
Speaking of irrelevance, theme music.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, but I hope someone will make some up for us. I don't wanna name any names. Rachel, I hope it's Rachel.
Very good, excellent. Benjamin,
Yeah.
speaking of the episode Who's Your Daddy, you know who's not your daddy? The film X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, decidedly not daddy.
It's nobody's daddy.
Nobody's daddy.
Ben, it is easily the worst performance of any X-Men film ever.
Which is surprising, because Last Stand was horrible.
Last Stand, retrospectively, not that horrible.
Well, compared to Dark Phoenix. No
I
one
just
ever
think-
thought people would say, you know what, the Dark Phoenix saga in Last Stand, not the worst Dark Phoenix saga. Nobody expected that to come.
No, I think Dark Phoenix was better than Last Stand. But what I'm saying is, Last Stand disappointed because it was the first not good X-Men film.
That's true.
But Last Stand isn't absolutely irredeemably awful either. It's
Go on.
Go on. No, you go on.
I still think X-Men 2 is the best of the X-Men.
Well, it probably is. Well, no, it's not the best of the X-Men films.
Of
Ben.
the original X-Men films.
Well, I mean, they're all one melange now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Are they?
Well, they all take place in the same timeline, all in mad time. The best, Ben, is First Class, followed swiftly by
Yes.
Logan.
That's fair. Logan is key.
Then both Deadpools.
Yeah, probably.
Then
Tragically
X-Men 2.
for them. Best Colossus
Yes.
that we've had.
The only good Colossus.
The only good Colossus.
Why
that
did they
we've
make
had.
Colossus not Russian? Ben, why? What is their fear? You know what it is? It's coward's blood.
It's Red Terror.
They have coward's blood. They're so afraid of doing the comic book things that when they do the comic book things, people enjoy it.
They won't lean into it.
They just bloody do it.
They won't lean into
Even
it.
bloody Deadpool suffers a little bit from coward's blood, where they wouldn't do Juggernaut quite
Juggernauty enough.
Juggernauty enough. Nearly Juggernauty, but not quite.
They
Just
wouldn't
do
pull
it.
that trigger.
Just do it. Ben, we found out this morning that X-Men Dark Phoenix has the highest ever first weekend to second weekend flop in numbers.
That hesitation was brought to you by Computer Freeze.
Yeah, no, I think we're all right.
Uh,
Ben, yeah, who has the highest ever drop-off. So that basically means that everyone who was even remotely interested in seeing X-Men The Dark Phoenix saw it in the first weekend, and that was very few people.
yeah. It's just a terrible film. I'm glad I didn't go see it with you.
How do you know it's a terrible film?
Because look,
You haven't seen it, Ben.
I'm just going to say
What a
it.
statement.
I'm going to say
What a statement to
look,
make.
The stats agree with me, Michael.
Look, Ben, some great films have flopped at the box office.
For example.
For example, Blade Runner.
That's true.
Blade
It is
Runner,
now a cult classic.
Blade Runner 2049.
Yes, that should have gotten way more recognition.
Some awful films have been incredibly successful at the box office.
Avatar.
Avatar's not horrible. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen.
Terrible film.
Speaking of, Ben, speaking of Transformers The Last Night, which I know we weren't, we went to see a film.
Smooth.
Thanks. Not on Wednesday evening, Ben. Not as per
No.
Wednesday evening tradition, because this one wasn't released in Ireland on a Wednesday evening. We went to see Men in Black International.
Well, you went to see Men in Black International.
You didn't come with me.
I was busy, I'm sorry.
Coward's blood.
Coward's blood.
Ben, coward's
I
blood,
reek
colour
of
me.
it.
Hashtag cancel Ben. Ben,
Oh.
we went to see Men in Black,
Strong words.
Men in Black International, and it belongs right there in that category with Dark Phoenix.
Is it terrible?
No, it's not. It's just a film. It's a film.
It's a film
Yeah.
that people made.
People made a film. It's
Tessa
fine.
Thompson, Chris Hemsworth chemistry?
Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth, they're both very, very attractive people.
They are, aren't they?
And you could spend a worse hour and 90 minutes than looking at their faces.
An hour and 90 minutes?
No, sorry, 90 minutes.
I don't know how that works.
No, that would be 2.5 hours.
It was an hour and 30.
An hour and 30 minutes. There are worse ways to spend an hour and a half.
I could sit and watch Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson for an hour and a half.
Yeah, and there's lots of close-ups on their faces, and they're very attractive faces.
Yeah. Was it a higher quality to the previous films
No.
in terms of special effects budget?
Well, in terms of special effects budget, the special effects are flawless.
Really?
They're excellent special effects.
Oh, good.
And in particular, the special effects of the main baddies are very good.
Because
very
I
good
have
indeed.
found that quite often the Men
Go
in
on.
Black films try and stick with their B-list budget in some kind of homage to previous iterations.
It lacked some of the style of the first two.
Really?
Yeah, but perhaps the special effects were too good.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
You missed the tacky
It
B-list.
lacked a little bit of the
B-movie vibe.
the B-movie practicality of the originals.
The B-vibes.
Yeah, it's fine. Just a film. Chris Hemsworth's about the place. He goes, is it though? Was it?
I love Chris.
That's my Chris Hemsworth impression.
Pretty poor, I'm not going to lie.
No, it's like, I'm the lead agent on this case. Are you though?
Oh, he did
You
that.
are.
He went full Thor.
He did his Chris Hemsworth being funny.
In fairness, not his fault. Thor
that's what
is
he's been-
him because he's Chris Hemsworth.
That's what he's been asked to do.
Yeah.
He's like, Chris Hemsworth, just come over here and do a Chris Hemsworth.
He's kind of oddly deep British voice, which is actually Australian.
Yeah.
Oh, you
know,
do.
Are you?
Oh, you
It's
do.
me. It's me, isn't it? I'm the best agent. Am I? Are you? Isn't it?
Join us next week when we launch our third podcast,
Lunch with Hemsworth.
Lunch with Hemsworth, where two men just poorly imitate Hemsworth.
Did we? Was it poor? Was it though?
Who was the El Villain in Men in Black International?
It was.
Was it Liam Neeson and his racist antics?
Well, no, it was The Hive.
Ooh.
We're not doing any spoilers, are we?
Ooh.
Liam Neeson plays a kind of father figure to Chris Hemsworth.
Ooh.
Done a little wink there for you.
Yeah, I got it.
Because he's Hollywood's favourite dad, Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson.
We'll get-
You tell you
we'll
what,
get- we'll get
if
to
you
this
are
later.
kidnapped by an international European cabal dealing exclusively in young female slave trades, you want Liam Neeson as your dad.
Yeah,
That's who you want coming crashing through Parisian windows.
you don't want him as your friend's dad though, because then you die.
Yeah, then you
That's what happened to Katie Cassidy
you
in
get
the film Taken.
chloroformed. Yeah,
She got killed.
To bits.
Heroin, I think.
heroin.
I
Yeah,
think it was heroin.
Yeah.
But look, Men in Black is fine. It's special effects are very good. People are very attractive. Chris Hemsworth is going, oh, who is it? Am I? Was it?
Well,
Well, yeah. That's pretty much his role in the film. There's a little alien guy for cuteness, and
you gotta have your little cute mascot.
Rebecca Ferguson is in it, almost unrecognizable.
Who's Rebecca Ferguson?
Rebecca Ferguson, you might know her from films, not the Men in Black, the Mission Impossible.
Oh, I do know Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, she's in it. She's the international sexy lady drugs
Of mystery.
Yeah, it's not as exploitatively sexy as the first three.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
it's very-
progress.
it's very modern, isn't it?
That's progress.
In the first three, there was lots of sexiness.
See, I think if you're banking on a there was a big sexy plant lady. They just
Yeah.
wholesale ripped off Poison Ivy and went, yeah, well,
It was Laura Flynn Boyle.
yeah, who has faded to obscurity.
Yeah, you could probably find a video by Looper on why Hollywood won't cast Laura Flynn Boyle anymore.
Yeah, but Looper videos aren't great.
Well,
are
that was my point, Ben.
they? You know what you should watch
Was it?
instead?
Aren't they?
Michael and Benjamin's
Oh, very
video.
good. About why Hollywood won't cast Laura Flynn Boyle anymore. Will they, though? Won't they?
Won't they?
Well. That's Hemsworth. What are we talking about? Yeah, it's fine. Look, I neither recommend nor disrecommend it. It's fine.
You don't disrecommend things. That's not a real word.
Disrecommend.
You saw something else this week, Michael. What else?
I did,
you
Ben. Look,
see?
I've been bloody ploughing through content, let me tell you,
Yeah,
for
fine.
free.
Name your sex tape.
What? Ploughing through content. Oh, it's very unpleasant.
Some poor young one has to be named content.
Oh, no. Oh. Or young gentlemen, Ben.
Whatever.
We're very modern
we're
here,
very modern
like
here
the
at
Men in
podcast.
Black. There was no Will Smith song at the end.
Oh, that would have been great though if you
Yeah.
had a Will Smith cameo.
Look, I said no spoilers, but I will do a spoiler. There is no Will Smith cameo.
Oh, that's shite.
Unless there's a post-credit scene, but I didn't stick around.
I
Ben.
would have loved the thing of, yo,
Wiki wild.
Where they at?
Wiki wild wild west. I'm not doing that again.
I would have loved to have seen. I would have loved to have seen Will Smith walk in. And he goes, "So we working together on this?" And then it'd be like, "Yeah."
And then Chris Evans would go, "Are we though? Are we?
Well, no, I'm the boss.
No."
And
You-
then Agent J just be like, "Sure, you're slick," and then be like,
Yeah, no, that didn't happen. That doesn't happen. Instead, oh, that's gold content. Me and Jim and I listened to Men in Black's theme tunes on the way back.
Good call.
Yeah, we listened to
Jim
both.
and I sounds like a very, very off-Broadway hit. The Jim and I.
Yeah, it sounds a bit grim though, doesn't it? Like it's about one of us dying.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, what did I do? Jessica Jones!
I hope it's you that dies and not Jim. I like Jim.
Thanks.
I like Jim a lot.
Really appreciate that, Ben. Thanks a lot.
The Jim and Ben's podcast coming to you soon.
I'm going to work some attacks on Ben into this next outing now. So,
you saw Jessica Jones?
I saw Jessica Jones, Ben.
Yeah.
You might say that by going into its third season, Jessica Jones, not unlike your beard, is kind of outstaying its welcome. Allegedly. I don't actually hate it that much. I want to get a jab at your beard in. Ben, it's fine. It's. I'm only 4 episodes in, Ben, and not very much has happened.
That seems to have been a Jessica Jones problem since
season 1. Since season 1, really.
Yeah,
I mean, season 1 had the excitamente of a great villain. Yeah. But season 2 has taken the tone, not the tone, the trope. The trope, eh? The trope of this is that we're seeing events. I don't know if it's going to continue, but we're seeing events from 2 perspectives. Jessica's perspective and what's her friend's name? Rachel? Patsy Walker.
Patsy Walker.
Trish Walker.
Because we don't call her Patty in the comics.
Patsy.
Or Patsy in the
series. No, but she was called Patsy, remember? Yeah. The public know her as Patsy, but she prefers Trish.
Yeah.
Anyway, we see the story from Jennifer's perspective and then from Paddy's perspective.
Trish has a new set of superpowers.
Or does she?
Also, her name is not Jennifer, it's Jessica. But
Jennifer Jones.
Jennifer Jones.
Jennifer Jones. It's
our friend Jennifer.
Our friend Jennifer Jones. It's an off-brand knockoff. By Marble.
Soon to be starring in the Jim and I.
Yeah, Marble's Jennifer Jones. Jennifer Jones they're investigating a case. They're both investigating the same case from another perspective.
Goodness.
And we see Trish. They go down. They commit the same crime as 90s X-Men. Do you remember, Ben, when... No, well, there's a lot of leather, but do you remember when they were on the X-Jet in X-Men 1 and Wolverine says, leather, and then Cyclops says, what would you prefer, yellow spandex? And everyone said, oh, that's so true. The comic shoots are ridiculous. And then, since then, every single film has teased us with the comic costumes and then not shown them in the next film.
I have never adjusted to the Wolverine tease at the end of Wolverine 2, Wolverine Lost in Japan.
That's cult. But yeah, that wasn't in it though. That's a deleted scene, isn't it?
It's a deleted scene, yeah, but I never got over it.
Yeah,
I've seen a deleted scene. I was like,
But, and if you remember in Jessica Jones season 1, she was kind of thinking about designing superhero costumes and she designed the Jewel costume and went, no way, not a chance. So Patsy very briefly wears the Hellcat costume.
Oh.
She does a changing costumes montage, Hellcat costume, and goes, hell no. And then she just dresses up as Daredevil from Daredevil season 1.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Cosplayer's wet dream, Daredevil season 1.
Coward's blood. They have coward's blood. They just won't do it.
There's a magnificent Wolverine costume just to your right there, Michael.
That's my left, Ben.
That's, yeah, I was testing and you passed.
Yeah, thank you.
To your left there, Michael. This classic 90s Jim Lee inspired X-Men.
Just stick him in the yellow stripe. Jim Lee was traditionally the brown one, though.
Was he?
Yeah.
I love tan Wolverine. I love brown tan Wolverine.
That's what Wolverine fans call the tiger stripe costume.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see.
There you go. There's some facts.
Well, now.
There's some facts.
Well, now.
Fact. Hitting you with fact.
Well,
Jessica Jones. Jennifer Jones. It's fine. Yeah. Hard living. She gets stabbed.
I know.
Yeah. It's fine.
Wait. Was she not bulletproof at some point?
No,
she was never. Oh, that's Luke Cage.
Luke Cage is bulletproof.
I'm confusing them. Luke Cage make a cameo?
I haven't seen it, but I think he does.
Oh.
But I haven't seen it.
Oh.
But I haven't seen it.
We're gonna tie up that arc. Nice.
I don't think so. I don't think anything's going to be tied up in a nice little bow.
Oh.
I think we're just going to forget all of this happened. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. great though. Still not referencing the snap. Jerks.
They're just a terrible show.
But
from
Ben,
start to finish.
No, that's entirely untrue, Ben.
It's entirely categorically true.
It's not, Ben. What I'm saying here is I think it's time for you to take a look inwards. Look inwards, Ben.
Start asking him to make a change.
Exactly. Look at the man in the mirror and ask the man in the mirror, is it really a logical thing to do? Say something's terrible if you haven't seen it.
I'm looking at the man in the mirror. Yes, it is.
Anyway, the reason I'm talking about bloody Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ben, is because it stars everyone's favourite father figure, Philip Coulson.
Smooth as silk.
You've ruined it, though.
Smooth as silk.
Do you think?
Ladies and gentlemen, here in Ireland, it's Father's Day.
It is, not internationally, though.
Not internationally Father's Day, but it's an Irish Father's Day, a Paddy's Father's Day, a Paddy's Daddy's Day.
Paddy's Daddy's.
Paddy's Daddy's Day. So with that in mind, we decided to have a look at all the different father figures in comic books and television and various forms of media.
English people sometimes call Irish people mix, Ben.
Yeah.
They call Americans call us mix as a kind of derogatory term. And people often then are amused that my name is Mick because, Irish, ginger, Mick, ha ha ha.
And you do have a daddy, so technically it's very appropriate as a Paddy's Daddy's Day.
And then they find out that my father's name is Patrick or Paddy, and they think it's a joke. They think I'm doing a joke.
Mickey, Paddy's Daddy's Day.
Yeah, anyway, go on, do your thing.
Yeah, anyway. So we decided we'd take a look at different father figures, and I suppose...
I could be your father figure.
I don't like that line. It makes me uncomfortable. I feel threatened. I feel a little bit claustrophobic.
You just call me daddy and we'll get through this podcast very smoothly.
Like that.
Just do it.
Oh, I don't want to.
We'll get through the podcast very smoothly.
Please, Daddy, no.
That is not great,
worst,
actually. Yeah.
Isn't it? So we took a look at father figures, and the reason we took a look at father figures is it's the 21st century, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
We have blended families all over the place.
Oh, bloody women can be fathers now.
Women can be fathers now. We have single parent families. We have double parent families. I'm sure there's probably a fair few triple or quadruple parent families out there.
Bloody heck.
So look, it's a big blended family unit. So we decided to stray from the traditional, quite frankly, narrow definition of what a father is biologically.
Get out of here.
And we decided to take a look at some father figures. But more importantly than that, we put it over to the gram.
The gram.
The gram.
The Reddit.
And we asked the folks over on the gram what they thought. We got plenty of responses, Michael.
As we sometimes do these days,
Fan Question Friday is first of all, just a fantastic, I suppose we could call it follower question Friday.
Yeah, I
don't think it was a terrible decision.
Yeah, that was.
But we got some great little responses there, Michael.
You going to read them out now?
Very happy with them. Well, I'm trying to find them, Michael, but my internet's not working at all.
Go
on,
look.
Michael. You get to work there.
Well, what do you want me to do?
I've done a lot of talking there. Give us some of the examples that were given.
Bloody Charles Xavier. No, sorry, he's a bad one.
He's a bad egg. Terrible father figure.
Is he?
Abusive, manipulative father figure.
Is he, though?
Psychologically gaslighting father figure.
Is he, though?
Blocking people's memories so that they work better as a team father figure.
Or blocking people's memories so that they don't have to, they can deal with their trauma more appropriately. You haven't seen the film, Ben!
Yeah, but that's a famous Charles Xavier arc.
But that's only because
there's also the whole thing where he wants to ride Jean Grey.
He's only in love with Jean Grey. Who's not in love with Jean Grey?
Me.
No, she's a lovely lady,
she's
Ben.
She's a one-dimensional character that's been doomed to death.
Doomed to death?
Doomed to death! I tell you.
No, she isn't. Jean Grey's great.
She's always
fainting.
She's always... Oh!
She's got very little...
Jean!
Wolverine, Light Camera Tentacles pointed out Wolverine is both a great father figure and an awful father figure.
Terrible father figure.
Ben, I'm worried about stepping on your notes here.
You're not.
Because you've just asked me to read this list.
You keep working through.
Because he's a great father figure, Ben, because he's an excellent surrogate father to many of the young...
The young X-Men.
A Jubilee.
A
Shadowcat.
An X-23.
An X-23.
Who is only his biological daughter in Logan. She's a clone of him and everything else.
She's a clone in Logan, isn't she?
I can't remember. I
think she is a clone, no.
Okay.
Yeah, she is. She definitely doesn't impregnate a lady. Imagine if his Willie had a spike.
Do you think it makes that noise when he gets hard?
But he also is a terrible father because he has killed almost all of his biological children.
Oh yeah, he has a lot of he has a lot of progeny.
Is progeny offspring? Is Dakin is one of his biological children?
Dakin or Dakin?
Is he dead?
No, Dakin's still going.
Still
ticking along, acting the maggot.
Yeah,
bloody big daddy Dakes.
Polka Dot Sundays said Rupert Giles.
Noted friend of the podcast, Polka Dot Sundays.
Yeah,
with a win for.
I thought you were going to say noted friend of the podcast, Anthony Head.
No.
No, we've never met him.
No, we've never met him. Yeah, Jaws, great shout. What 90s warm fuzzies they were.
Yeah.
Also very proto ahead of the curve there on the blended family kind of thing.
Go on.
Well, friends of the family of the 21st century, Michael. That's what everybody tells me. You can't choose your family, you can't choose your friends. Therefore, it makes sense that you have a better family in your friends because you get to choose them as opposed to your abusive father, your abusive mother, your terrible father, your
Neither
terrible
my
mother.
father nor my
Your-
mother are abusive.
Your disappointing father, your disappointing mother.
What? Go on. You just keep talking
Well, I
there.
have an
You-
emotionally abusive father figure in you.
I could be your father figure.
Basically, the trauma I experience here on a Sunday is what lets me go out into the world and have an interesting backstory in bars at 2 a.m.
Wasn't Giles a bit manipulative, though?
Oh, they're all manipulative.
Giles is a bit of a Professor X type.
Yeah, saving the world.
Yeah.
But he has those moments of conflict where he has to go back to the council and he's
Yeah,
like, no, I won't
tell her
can't
that
do
I'm
it.
a
It's
bloody-
not right. It's not fair.
That sounds more like Chris Hemsworth.
It's not right. It's not fair.
It's not fair, is it? Well.
Well,
Is it, though?
Well.
Isn't it? Is it?
Yeah,
Would I?
Giles is a great shout.
Is he, though? Would he?
Yeah, so basically, we got a whole list of things.
Oh, sorry.
sent
Do
to us.
you not want me to keep going?
Go on, give us a few more.
Bloody Dr. Cadwell.
Dr. Stephen Cadwell.
Dr. Stephen Cadwell, he says that it's a tough question because he is a dad.
He is a pop.
So he has a more kind of an insight.
He is a paddy daddy.
A lot of the dads are a bit. They're just kind of like plot points. Jor-El,
Yeah.
old Tommy Wayne.
Good old Tommy Dubs.
Mm-hmm.
They just exist to die.
A lot of them, yeah.
They're stock props.
Stock dad in the fridge.
Yeah.
Fridging
dads or burying your dads.
He said his good ones though are Greg Universe from Steven Universe.
He's a great old dad, struggling, not meant to be a father, but still bears the burden quite well.
And Marlin from Finding Nemo.
Sure, look.
Becomes a great
that's
dad.
an emotional journey.
But he loses his child in the first start. But that's the hero's journey for you, isn't it?
I think that's the problem, you see. He's an overbearing father and he learns to give independence in order to have a better relationship with his son.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pickard.
Who's Pickard? Oh, Picard.
From Big Fat Cat.
Picard.
Yeah. Jean-Luc Pickard.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Jean-Luc
the
Pickard.
father figure in space. In space!
Is he though?
Well, outside of Darth Vader. There is an angry Little League game I would like to see two dads shouting at the sidelines of.
Ben, can I just ask you a question? Just very
Kidding me?
Just
With that call?
that's pretty funny. Have you ever been to a Little League game?
Oh, all the time.
That was an odd.
We're over there in Datamedica.
Odd cultural reference there, Ben.
In a hurling game then.
Good man.
Are you shitting me?
Are
with
you?
that call?
Look at that feckin'. He's after whacking him with the hurdle.
What are you at?
Did you see Michael Fassbender telling a story about?
No, you told me about this last week.
Did we
and
talk
I
about
didn't
this
get
last
around
week?
to it.
It's brilliant. Look, you didn't hit me in the knob.
So anyway, I think we can.
Of course, Ben, Geek and Son Pod.
Oh, which is a noted Paddy Daddy pod here
Paddy
in Dublin.
that's about a
Give 'em
paddy
listen.
and a daddy. No,
Yeah.
it's not in Dublin. Donegal. They're from Donegal, I think, aren't they?
Irish podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Where if you're looking for more family orientated geek stuff, go check them out.
Look, Ben. Yeah, it's like this, but with less swearing.
Yeah, it's like a cleaner, more wholesome version. You'll feel good when you stop listening
Yeah.
to their podcast.
They've given us a whole list. They didn't say if these are good or bad, so I assume it's
It was
good.
his top 5.
Yeah, but it didn't say good or bad, did it?
No,
so maybe they're bad.
probably not. Go on.
Bail Organa, Jimmy Smits. Was that Jimmy Smits from the Star Wars?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
Jed Bartlett. Who's that? Is he the president from 24?
yeah, I think so. No, I think it's from West Wing, isn't it?
West. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that not who it is?
Yeah.
It's the
King Theoden
King Theoden from what?
from the Lord of the Rings. Ben, you're
Means
the
nothing
worst.
to me.
Arthur Weasley.
Oh, great call.
There's a bloody Harry Potter
What an
convention
art.
on this week in Dublin.
There is. We didn't want to go because we don't like Harry Potter all that much here at the pod.
It's not that we don't like it.
It's just not really our
Not
thing.
really our thing. And Scott Lang.
And Scott Lang, best father figure going in modern representation.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. They also retcon that relationship very much in Ant-Man 2, which I found fascinating. He has initially a very conflicting relationship with his ex-wife and her new husband, but then that seems to have slid along.
Yeah, they smooth it all over.
massively.
Things
Yeah,
things
they
develop,
smooth
things
it all
change.
over. Yeah, I know, but it's interesting to see that.
Because he saves them all from the
very-
quantum realm.
The very definition of a blended family working together to raise a lovely little girl.
So nice.
I have never recovered from the scene where he thinks that Cassie has died in Endgame and he's sprinting through the streets trying to get to her house to see if she's okay.
But he thinks he's died as well.
Yeah, it's a
He
beautiful
hasn't,
moment.
he's fine.
It's a beautiful moment.
Um,
So that got me thinking.
Hold on.
Michael.
We're not leaving people out. Fantasy Chick 777, who every time I see it, I think I'm going to be in trouble for following her.
Yeah, to be fair. Thank you for contributing all the time, Fantasy Chick 777, but you are getting us funny looks on trains.
Mufasa. Ben.
Mufasa,
Scott Lang.
Mufasa.
Scott Lang again. Scott Lang comes up a lot.
Scotty Lang.
You know, they're going to do
Paul Rudd is the internet's dad.
Is he?
Yeah.
What's up with the back and forward thing?
Because
you're doing?
I'm sitting.
Get into
I'm
the mic. Get into the mic
jaded
there,
with
Ben.
your endless listing, boy.
You asked me to.
Your
You literally
listicles.
asked me to read them out. Atticus Finch, Ben. Ned Stark.
Atticus Finch is a terrible father.
Is he?
He exposes his children to far too much, far too young.
Well, look, that's how you develop. Bobby Singer. Good shout for Bobby Singer.
Oh, Bobby Singer, the father figure to two wayward sons.
Carry on through the noise and confusion. Carry on behind this illusion. I don't know who General Iroh is.
General Iroh is the uncle in Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's Zuko's uncle.
Oh.
And when Zuko is exiled from the Fire Nation by his, quite frankly, abusive, emotionally manipulative, and tyrannical father, Iroh is the only one who sticks by him and tries to show him the way of peace as opposed to the way of conflict. A wonderful father figure. And a great shout by Fantasy Chick 777.
And Ben, there's a few who come up from a lot of different people. Alfred
Oh!
Pennyworth.
Penny Dubs.
Presumably not the Alfred Pennyworth from the
He's quite frankly a little bit haphazard in his
parenting.
parenting.
He will kill a man though.
For Bruce?
Yeah, with a plate.
For Brucey baby? Oh yeah. Yeah, so basically, that's a whole big list, Michael. That's a whole
Thanks,
big
Ben.
list of things.
Thanks for making me read it out.
Well done reading it out, though. You nailed it. There was a lot of variation, good tone,
Thank you.
etc. It made for an interesting time. But it also led to a difficulty, because if we sit here and just list all day, Michael, that's not much of a podcast.
No, we might as well work for BuzzFeed.
We might as well work for BuzzFeed. If BuzzFeed does want to hire us, though,
Yeah, I'd be alright with that.
yeah, I'd be okay with that. Yes, so we decided to take a look instead at some of the key tropes and why we use fathers in fiction. What role do they play? You've pointed out some already, and I think probably the biggest one that you see is, "You killed my father, prepare to die."
Oh.
So that's the famous quote from
The death of the father, Inigo Montoya.
Inigo Montoya from The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
And very often we see a lot of dead dads.
Yeah.
For purely motivation and revenge purposes for our heroes. They're there to drive the hero forward.
Tommy
They're
Wayne.
there to give them something to do. Sorry, say again?
Tommy
Wayne,
yeah.
Tom Dubs. Man of Steel, which is Fridge, Kevin Costner, out of nowhere. Well, we tornado him.
You got whipped away in a tornado.
Yeah, he whipped his hair back and forth a bit too much and then got murdered. So that, motivates the Man of Steel to not step forward. Coward's Blood.
Coward's Blood.
For Clark Kent. Star Wars pre-reveal. Obi-Wan Kenobi manipulates Luke into thinking that Darth V is the man that killed his father.
Yeah.
And that's what gets Luke to step forward and do that.
Yeah.
And then George Lucas, who loves fridging a pop.
Yeah.
Popsicles he makes a lot of the time. Oh, I'm proud of that one. He then goes and kills Uncle Luke, or Uncle, what's his name?
Uncle Lars.
Uncle Lars and Aunt Beru.
Yeah. Luke loses a lot of father figures
Yeah.
in that series.
Yeah.
He loses Uncle Lars, who's probably the closest to a father he has.
Actual biological
Like
father. Yeah.
No.
Sorry, closest to an actual biological father.
No.
No.
What are you saying, Ben?
Sorry. He's related, isn't he?
He is, but he's the one who raised him.
Yeah. So that was his actual dad.
His father is the real, the father in his life, the
As
person who
opposed to
raised him.
bio-dad.
Yeah. And then he loses his kind of surrogate dad in Ben Kenobi, although that's not a very long relationship.
No. Quite brief, but they make a whole big deal out of the rest of the goddamn
they do.
trilogy.
And then he finds out who his real dad is, and he dies.
And it's like, son, bye.
Yeah, 3 dead dads in a couple of weeks.
Look, just the moral of the story is, don't be a dad to Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
just
that's
stay away.
true. Yeah.
I think that's why he went away on that island. Just
No
didn't want
dads.
to kill any more dads.
No more dads on that island.
Yeah, and then of course we have our non-biological dad father figures like Uncle Ben. Classic motivation to kind of drive the hero forward. Very often used in different ways. There are some variations on that trope. Sometimes we do it with the mother. However, mothers are quite often overlooked in favour of fathers. The dad dying is always a way more significant event than the mother. Quite often they'll kill whole families. But the dad is the one that the son seems to focus on. It seems to be a father-son thing quite often. Not that there aren't cases.
It was something that people hated about The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Which was?
That his dad wasn't dead and he was a secret spy scientist man.
Secret agent man. Yeah, exactly. It was one of those things. He should be dead. Kill that dad. Kill that dad. And then they move a bus over the dad.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. But yeah, there are variations on it. Thor loses his mother, for example, in the L assassination attempt in the MCU. And that's a huge drive for him.
Odin's a terrible dad.
Odin is a terrible dad, but we'll get to that, Michael. Don't step on my notes. So yeah, we have those. So that's the classic one. Very often it's used to push the hero, give them that last push. The dead dad is insulted by the villain of the piece. Where he's like,
Uncle Ben.
Your father died like a coward.
Bloody King T'Chaka.
T'Chaka. Yeah, bloody UN. Whole UN.
He got blown up in the UN by the Winter Soldier.
That was a big thing. And then Claw gives him an L slagging. For that, and that's what drives him over the edge. And Zemo tries to goad him into killing him.
And then he has to go meet his dad.
Then he has to go to meet Papa.
Yeah,
on the plains of Africa.
Do you have bloody Mustafa in there?
What, were they just ripped it off wholesale from the Disney film?
Well, the Disney film ripped it off from the Simba the White Lion film from Japanimation.
And they probably ripped it off from Hamlet. So I mean,
look, it's all Hamlet. It's a Hamlet. There you go, Ben.
It's all ripped off. Well, I mean, there's the Mac Daddy of weird manipulative daddies. But yeah, so that's one of the tropes. And then the other one, and the one that you've touched on quite a bit as well, is the stern Papa leader trope, where it's not their bio dad, but he's a father to his men. Is the common line.
A Professor X.
A Professor X, where it's like, I just have my students' best interests at heart.
Niall Calder.
And also,
oh, you did a bit.
Jean Grey.
Very good.
She's on my mind a lot.
Or a Niles Calder, where he says, I just have my students' best interests at heart.
But also, I don't want people to find out that I'm a shite bag.
Yes, also, I'm in a wheelchair.
But sometimes not in flashbacks.
Sometimes not in
flashbacks. Never explained. So yeah, you have a lot of those.
I have a serum.
Ones. I've affectionately stolen from Alan Partridge on this one and called him the Alpha Papa.
Okay.
And again, you touched on it earlier. Wolverine is probably the best example of that. He especially took over when Comicdom kind of turned around to Cyclops and went, "You're a bit of a dick. I don't like you." And then all of a sudden Wolverine started stepping up and taking that kind of, "Listen, kid, we've all had crap lives."
Was Cyclops ever a kind of surrogate father-y guy?
I think they attempted that a couple of times with the whole X-Nation fascist Cyclops run that nobody paid attention to because Marvel was trying to downplay mutant characters so they could replace them with
the Inhumans.
Inhumans.
That didn't work great, did it?
No, it failed horribly.
Good.
Failed horribly. There's a great example of a failed version of that trope. They really tried to make Black Bolt a hero for his people. Didn't work. Didn't work at all. So that's one example of that.
Phil Coulson from the TV show Agents of
S.H.I.E.L.D.
I
didn't quite catch that. But yeah, also Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime is a perfect example of that, especially in the early Transformers movies from my end of things, because that's my main exposure to Transformers. But I'm sure you could expand on that if you wanted.
No.
Okay, fair enough. And then the one that we all know and love, and everybody loves to get behind, Captain America. Captain America.
Is he a daddy?
He would have that role.
Does he?
Here and there. Wanda?
I thought Wanda had more of a father figure with Vision, but then she fell in love with him, and that was a bit creepy. Actually, no, come on now. I don't think. What did Wanda?
You can argue it.
Did Wanda and Steve have any interactions?
I think probably more from a comic book point of view than.
Yeah,
he's very often the man that kind of sets things right.
But in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, I would have thought that Hawkeye was more of a father figure to Wanda.
Yeah, Hawkeye's shite though.
Yeah, but he's more of a father figure.
That doesn't serve my point, Michael, so I'm just going to ignore it.
Yeah, good man.
Classic internet banter. No, you're right. Probably in the MCU, a poor representation of that trope, but in the comics themselves, quite a solid point of that. Spider-Man often everybody looks up to Cap. Cap is like the one true north, except for that time he was a Nazi.
Does everyone look... Dad! Are you a Nazi again?
Stop liking that stuff on Facebook. Everyone can see it.
Dad, vaccines do work. Can Ben... That's our anti-vaxxer sponsors gone.
Anti-vax.
Ben, imagine if Captain America turned out to be anti-vax. That'd be a good plot.
Man.
Ben...
Considering he was made by a bunch of cocks.
Is he really a father figure, though?
Well, what do you mean?
Is he a father figure?
People look up to him.
But that's not the.
Right.
What's your definition of a surrogate father or a father
Someone
figure?
who provides guidance in times of need.
Is that what?
Fulfills a role and helps you to understand your place in the world, despite not being biologically related.
Is that what he does?
Occasionally.
Yeah, I wouldn't rank him with
Okay.
the likes of Xavier or Niles Calder or even Wolverine.
Okay, he just got the boot then.
Because he doesn't tend to have young charges.
Good for him. Because that's a creepy trope.
Yeah.
Another big one there then, I guess, in terms of young charges would be bloody Batman.
Yeah, but Batman doesn't
He's not
want to.
even a
He doesn't
father
want to be a
figure, though.
father figure,
He's a
does
bloody
he?
fascist.
He's a terrible father if he is a father figure.
Yeah, he's not
And
great.
He's actually Damien's father.
And he's not a great
He's a
dad,
terrible father.
Yeah, so I think one of the ways that trope is often kind of subverted or turned on its head is it makes the portrayal all the much worse when you find out he was the villain all along.
Like Omni Man
Like Omni Man.
from Dublin's North Side.
Omni Man over there in the shopping centre causing havoc. To any of our female listeners, mainly Rachel, who takes great umbrance to our Omni Man impression, that's for you, Rachel.
That's for
just
Rachel.
for you. No, but very often we have a father figure that's been trusted again and again and again and again.
He turns out to be
And
a
it
bad
turns
bloke.
out he's been the bad egg all along.
Harvey Weinstein.
A wine. Oh. No, he got people to call him daddy.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually a father figure.
Mm.
Yeah, so moving on from that fucking egregious moment, the one that we probably deal with most on this podcast, Michael, is
Go
the
on.
sins of the father trope,
Oh.
where the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Go
Now,
on.
usually this is a bad apple from a bad tree,
Yeah.
and that's used for a bunch of different reasons. One of the main ones is for character development, to kind of show you what way the character might go, and the other big one that they use it for is foreshadowing.
Ben, this computer's not plugged in. Plug the computer in, you son of a bitch.
Foreshadowing. So I'm going to plug the computer in there now. You have to talk about foreshadowing there now.
Right, foreshadowing is what happens when you have more than 3 light sources and they're all shining on the same object,
That's not what it is.
creating 4 shadows. I wish that we could do a podcast about watching Ben trying to plug a socket into a wall, because it is comically inept. Ben, it's like every other socket in the world. Just plug it in. Just stick it in the bloody hole. There you go. Good man. Now turn the plate. There you go. Good lad. There you go.
So, quite often done for foreshadowing. I think the most famous example of that would probably be Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn. Green Goblin, for those that don't know, especially in the Raimi films, it was leaned into heavily in the Raimi films.
They have hair which looks quite like our sound padding on the walls.
Yeah, it's all rippled.
Yeah.
Rippled.
Is that what you mean about the apple not falling far from the tree? They both have that ripply hair.
No, that's not what it means, Michael. It means that very often, if you've got a bad egg for a dad, you might turn out to be a bad egg for a son. It's controversial because
Yeah.
it opens up the whole nature versus nurture debate.
Exactly. Adolf Hitler Jr.
Yeah, is it genetics? Is that what it is? Or is it environment? It doesn't really matter, because we see lots of different examples of that. Some of the more comic examples we see is Dr. Evil and Scott Evil from Austin
I
Powers.
remember him.
Yeah, that was gas.
That was Seth Green.
Yeah.
He wanted to be evil, though.
Seth, he did by the end, and then Dad turns over a new leaf.
Is that how that
At
ends?
the end, yeah.
Is that the one with Beyonce?
Yeah, that's the one with Beyonce, Gold member.
Go. I love gold.
Which was probably funny at the time, but now a gold member is quite an often thing in a rewards program in various levels.
Yeah, I'm a gold member.
I'm
Yeah.
a gold member. And nobody giggles anymore, so that's a shame. Probably some of the more recent examples that we have would be Draco Malfoy and Lucius Malfoy.
Lucius Malfoy's a real prick.
He's a real prick, and his son, certainly for the first few, right up until the last book, is a real prick too. And then we see a breaking of that trope, and we see that Draco Malfoy fighting some kind of absolution.
Does Draco turn good in the end?
Ah, he does, yeah.
I don't remember what he does.
He does,
he?
yeah. He saves somebody or something.
Does he? Ah, good lad.
Probably a more classic clinging to that trope would be Ramsay Bolton and Roose Bolton.
Rats from the flats.
Rats from the flats, the lads. Yeah, Ramsay Bolton is just a terrible egg. And that's all in service to getting his father's approval, which he never gets.
But Roose Bolton is bad, but he's not as bad.
He's not psychotically bad.
No. He
He
was also in Chernobyl.
Was he?
Yeah, he plays the state prosecutor.
Well, good for him.
He's doing good.
Good for him.
He's doing good. He used to come to Cineworld, to Cine when I worked in Cineworld in Parnell Street.
He's a good lad.
He used to come in once a week and go and see a film.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah,
Good for
nice
him.
guy.
Oh.
Michael Hatton.
I'm not going to get it. There are a lot of variations on the sins of the father trope. One of the ones is that we subvert it by making sure that the bad son doesn't become bad. He breaks free of that kind of cycle of misery and emotional abuse and stuff like that, and he goes on to do other things. But we can also use it in much more positive ways to grow heroes.
Well, hold on a second. You have to give us an example of one who breaks free of their...
Oh, Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender.
I haven't seen Avatar The Last Airbender. Ben.
He goes through a whole whirlwind emotional journey where he escapes the yoke of his father's tyranny. And that's a whole thing. He pushes really hard to be against that the whole time, which is real good.
And it works.
Yeah, it works out real well for him. I think you could probably look at it in terms of Quicksilver and Wanda as well from Avengers 2. Not necessarily their father figure, but certainly their commander-in-chief expects them to do one thing, and then eventually they move away from that, if you're looking for a more superhero-centered example.
I'm not.
Okay, fair enough. But the way that we subvert that in other ways is with Odin. Odin is a real bad egg, and the sins of the father would be bloody Hela. In Ragnarok, and then Loki and Thor have to bond together and kind of try and take on this big bad egg.
Yeah, I mean, comic book Odin, bloody hither and fro on whether he's a good father or a terrible father. He's usually a real son of a bitch.
He's just terrible. I kind of like that though. He's consistent. He's consistently a dick. The realist father is the next trope that we're going to take a look at, and that's the father who's like, get your head out of the clouds, boy. This is real life.
Like how your father doesn't want you podcasting.
Yeah, basically he says stop hanging out with that weird 30-something-year-old in his tiny room. That's pretty much the conversation we have every Sunday, where he goes...
Taking that kind of personally there, Jezza.
And then I walk out and I'm like, you're not my real dad. And he's like, I fucking am, Ben. And I'm like, sorry, Dad. I forgot.
Look at you. Look at both of our scraggly beards.
It's just the beard of desperation. But yeah, so the realist father is a great way to kind of expand the theme in your story. If you're this is especially common in children's fiction more than adult fiction, but it is there in both cases. Don't grin at adult fiction. We're being nice. The example that I can think of the most to illustrate this point is Merman, Dad.
I'm a merman. That was John Voight.
Zoolander. John Voight is the perfect example of this. You've been down those mines 2 days, boy.
But he got the black lung, Ben,
he's a
famously.
Super realist, where he ain't got no time for that faffing about in that fancy world. Massively common in the 90s when anyone pursued a creative profession in movies, and their father would be like, no, you'll be an accountant and you'll like it.
Yes. You'll marry a nice Asian boy.
And it's going to be fine. It's also technically the tough love approach for stuff like that, where he needs to grow up. Robin Williams is often brought in as the counterpoint to that particular narrative.
Yeah, you have a stern dad, and then you have Robin Williams as your zany father figure.
A good example of that would be Good Will Hunting, where everybody's telling him that you have to be a mathematician, Will. You have to do it. And he's like, oh, no, you don't.
And then Liam Hemsworth comes in and goes, do you though? No. Well, is it?
Some of the smaller examples that we see there, and one of the more interesting ones that I came across was King of the Hill. Hank Hill, whenever Bobby's a little heads in the cloud puddiner, he wanders around going, Dad, and he just does this whole thing, and he's always having dreams and notions, and his father always struggles to understand it. He's like, what in tarnation, Bobby?
But he tries though.
That's the important part about this one. We often see it subverted in, we have a father that kind of comes around. It's a great way to show development between characters as well, and kind of growth and stuff like that. And it gives you warm fuzzies. Some of the kind of throwaway ones that you'd see would be Hank Pym and Hope, where he's like, no, you can't do it. That's the end of it.
Is that your Michael Douglas?
Yeah,
it's one of your worst.
Pretty poor.
Do you want to hear my? Do you want to hear my Evangeline Lilly?
Go on.
Damn it, Dad! I'm gonna do it. You can't stop me.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty. If they were Michael father Douglas and son,
Evangeline Lilly don't. So that's a pretty important one. You see it in all the Disney movies. There's always a parent that's like, oh, just get on board. And the kid's like, no, I want to dream. Coco is a good example of that from recent Pixar films.
Well, I haven't seen Coco.
Tangled is another one. She's kept in the tower. The mother's like, no, it's dangerous outside. You can see a very dark and sinister form of that in things like 10 Cloverfield Lane, where John Goodman, who is kind of a forced father figure, or expects to be seen as a father figure,
but really isn't.
And they're lying about the world outside as a means of control.
He's not, though.
Well, he isn't, but
as it turns out,
that's what we're led to believe.
It's a bloody twist.
Yeah,
Ben.
It's a bloody what a twist. But yeah, we can see that one as well a lot. The domineering father who lies to their children and makes them believe certain things that just aren't true.
Like in the famous M. Night Shyamalan film, The Village.
Yeah.
Or as you say,
out,
because you famously can't pronounce the word, the
Jamaican.
famous M. Night Shyamalan film, The Village.
The Village. Ooh, The Village. So we have things like that quite a lot in that particular trope. There's always, and then there's an opposite to that. There's the good side of life father. The example that I can think of best there is Belle's father in Beauty and the Beast, which is a weird one to pull from. But
The guy who sells her to that evil...
well, tricks her into taking his place. And he doesn't ask for that. She opts to do it. We should be very clear. She shouldn't. It's a terrible decision. But very often for comedic effect, we reverse that role, and the parent is the one with his heads in the clouds, and their son is the one, or their daughter is the one who has to be realistic about things.
Like in the film Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah, like in the film Hotel Transylvania. Exactly. That's pretty good, actually.
It is. It's bang on.
It's a solid call, and look at that. We can subvert that quite a bit, and it makes for interesting content. And then one of the ones, because I've spoken mostly about father-son relationships, and I felt that was a little bit biased, Michael. You and I attended something the other day on biased. But anyway, Daddy's Little Villain is the name of this trope, which I'm uncomfortable with. But that's what it's commonly known as. And basically, it's where the female child, or the daughter, as it's commonly known, is the child of the villain in a piece, and for some reason she seems to exemplify the very worst, ruthless characteristics of her father. So I guess one of the key examples that everyone will know is Talia al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul's daughter, who's a big old evil person.
Or from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ruby from season 5.
Yeah, sure.
Although it was her mother who was evil, not her father. Her father was never mentioned.
It's the same kind of thing. You get the idea. That one often goes hand in hand with sibling rivalry. Again, I'm coming back to Avatar, which you haven't seen. But Azula is Zuko's sister, and she is twice as powerful as he is, and 3 or 4 times as ruthless. She's just a horrible person.
On what ruthlessness scale?
The
Ben Cullopy scale of ruthlessness.
No, probably the Michael Leonard one. I feel yours is more logical and calculated.
There's Loki as well.
But she's a sadist. Loki is another great example of that one. He has to deal with a lot of that kind of thing.
He has 2 dads.
But
not in a modern way.
Both of whom are bad eggs.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know that. I'm sure there's fanfic out there somewhere.
Of Odin and Laufey.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think so? Bloody get on it, Ben. You get right in that.
Someone would probably read it. That's the sad part. But anyway, they excel in their father's villainous footsteps. And where that one becomes really important is, again, in that variation of breaking free of that cycle. And the best example we have of that is Thanos and Nebula.
Oh, in the MCU, not so much in the comics.
In the MCU, far more in the MCU. Where she wants to excel on behalf of her father, and over time she learns that that's just not the way.
Well, I mean, you've got your Harry Osborns as well from your original Spider-Man trilogy, from your Sam Raimi films.
Yeah, your Raimi films.
Because he's like, Dad, I'm going to get revenge from my dad. I'm James DeFranco. I'm going to get revenge from my dad. And then he's like, oh no, you beat me up in a fight, so I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
That's how James Franco speaks.
Is that how he speaks? Yeah, so we see that one a lot. I think probably the best version of the Talia al Ghul version was probably Dark Knight Rises.
Fish, pasta.
Where she came back.
Fish, pasta. Yeah, that's definitely what it is.
That's gas. Yeah, so I mean...
No, that's not one of the best versions. That was terrible.
Oh.
I didn't like Talia al Ghul. That was one of the worst twists in movie history.
Categorically not. But
it was. I mean,
it was a terrible film.
It wasn't a terrible film. It was quite a good film, Ben. Come on, let's be honest.
Film.
Is this another Ben's terrible films that he hasn't seen?
No, I have seen that one, you smart ass. I went to see that with someone who was very high at the time. I was about 19, and he was out of his gourd on weed, and he came out going, "Oh, just an amazing film. Oh, I'm just blown away." And that was the noise he would make when he was high and shocked by information and trying to add in. Oh, what a spectacle. And I was there going, it wasn't that good.
It was pretty good.
Fuck off.
Right,
no,
Jesus.
It wasn't.
Good argument.
Yeah. That's how I win all my arguments.
Yeah, you didn't win that argument, Ben.
Well, that's all this. I'm only kidding.
Well, didn't I? Did I?
Well,
Chris Hemsworth.
Chrissy Hems. So yeah, I mean, fathers play such a huge role in a lot of the fiction that you and I consume on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's really important. I mean, we've looked at different comics over the years that have done a lot of that. I suppose in terms of comic book big legends, you've got people like Darkseid, the big bad daddy.
Mm.
You know, he's a real bad egg.
Yeah, there's a lot of father-son relationships in that.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on there. You and I have read a comic called God Country, which is a huge part of what a father will do to save his family.
Yeah.
Very often fathers are used as we said earlier, a plot pivot. It's very rare that you would see an arc focused solely on the father. I think Omni Man, that we talked about earlier, is a good example of that. He has to go through a full redemption arc to become the father that his parents kind of wanted.
Yeah, or Barry Winchester from, what's his name? From Supernatural.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Barry.
Daddy Winchester.
Barry, yeah.
Baz Winchester. Baz Winchester has to go through that a couple of times.
Is he dead? Is he not dead? Where is he?
Where is he? What's he up to?
Yeah.
One listener on Instagram said God.
That was my friend Pierce.
Father figure. Well, good for Pierce. And then I thought about it. Actually, one of the best examples of a terrible father figure in God is Preacher.
Go on.
A whiny, petty God. And he tries to convince people all the time that I am a loving God, but he's not. He's a dick.
Then he gets his comeuppance.
Thanks to the Saint of Killers, who gives him now 2 barrels.
Dream is a terrible father.
Dream is a shocking father. He leaves his son's head in a monastery or a temple.
In a jar?
In a jar. It's probably in a jar.
A box?
Probably in a jar. He's a terrible boyfriend as well, though. Punish someone to a lifetime in the pit of hell because...
he's a bad bloke.
Bad bloke.
Yeah.
Dream. Not a great lad. But yeah, so basically that's kind of what we decided to look at today. I hope you enjoyed those tropes. Can you think of any more exampple for us?
Look, of fathers.
Not you, the listeners.
I always get mixed up with this
The
bit.
listeners, I know you do. But it's okay. We're back now. Any other tropes that we missed there? Anything else that you enjoy seeing comic books? Do you have any examples that we missed? Do let us know in the comments down below wherever you're listening, or get in touch with us on Instagram. We're on Instagram there. You can join the poll that we already had. Any other fathers for you, Michael?
You missed the sexy dad. Where's the dad who's sexier than the main character?
Daddy.
Yes.
I missed the daddy dad.
Like a sexy dad.
Daddy.
Oh, look at your dad. He's so sexy.
Yeah. Give us an example there, Michael.
I can't think of any.
That's what you said about my dad when you saw him the first time.
I did. I said, what a very sexy dad. He's much sexier than you.
Yeah. Sexy dad's a weird thing that pops up now and then.
Well, look, we have a whole word for sexy mothers, so...
Well, no, DILF is a thing now.
Is DILF a thing?
We have DILFs.
DILF is a thing that you buy in IKEA, I think.
I think Scott Lang's a DILF.
Is he a DILF?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Scott Lang's a DILF. Do you think a future film will deal with Cassie Lang having to deal with her friends all finding her dad attractive?
I hope so. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
That'd be interesting.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
You know who's a real bad dad?
Go on.
Bloody Ego, the Living Planet, in the film Guardians of the Galaxy.
I had on the list earlier and I forgot
Guardians of the
about
Galaxy.
it.
You also said you were going to talk about Mustafa. I said, did you have Mustafa on your list? And you said,
yeah.
yes, we'll get to
Sorry.
that. And then you didn't.
I didn't at all. He falls under the mystical dad, which we didn't.
Oh, there's a bit of a
we didn't
mystical
do.
dad.
Mystical dads are a whole thing. Unattainable, unreachable dads.
Who can come back in spiritual flashbacks.
Ghost Jedis are a good example of
King
that.
T'Chaka.
King T'Chaka. Ghost dads. I forgot ghost
Is a
dads.
ghost dad not a dad who disappears? He goes out for smokes.
Very importantly, though, we're not encouraging you. Well, no, that's your dad, Michael.
My dad. My parents still live together, Ben. I'm going to see him now after this.
Sure.
That's my real dad. Ben, he looks like me. He looks like a short me.
By the way, when we talk about ghost dads, do not go and see the Bill Cosby 1980s movie Ghost Dad.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, no, it's a real thing.
Can't go see it. It's probably not in the cinemas.
It's probably not in the cinemas. Just don't look for it because Bill Cosby, bad dad.
You know who is Hollywood's favourite dad?
Go on.
Liam Neeson.
Oh, Liam Neeson.
And he's been every type of dad.
I have a very particular set of skills.
Yeah, accents, one of them.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Anyway, look, that's it from us.
He's done the ghost dad.
He has been ghost dad.
He's been ghost dad. He's been tragic dad. He's been disapproving dad.
Dissy
He's
dad.
Been like action hero dad.
He's been heading the clouds dad in Love Actually, where he tells his son to go for it.
He's done every kind of dad.
He's heading the clouds dad.
Liam Neeson, ultimate dad. He's the bloody twist dad. He's the surprise evil dad. He's every dad.
The answer to the question in the thumbnail of this episode, who's your daddy? Liam Neeson.
It's Liam Neeson.
That's it from us this week, ladies and gentlemen. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube. We are on iTunes. Give us a review.
Give us a review on iTunes.
Knock over there. 2 minutes. Couple of stars. And you can call me a racist.
Call me a racist.
That's an established trope now. You can get in touch with us on our website, seanmcbeog.com. you can email us directly at Michaelandbenjaminspodcast@gmail.com. There's lots of ways to get in touch with us. Let us know what you think of dads. Tell us about your dad stories. Actually, we don't have time to do that throughout the week. But go on, send us a few messages. Do you have any dads that you really learned lessons from
Do you have any dads
in your younger days?
How many dads do you have?
Did you have a favorite fictional father figure that you would look to for advice, as many 90s sitcoms did? But let us know down below. Don't forget, this Wednesday,
speaking of dads,
2 days later, if you haven't had enough of us, speaking of dads, The Highfather and Darkseid are two of the most famous dads from Jack Kirby's Fourth World, and we'll be taking a look at them in this week's Collecting Issues, where we have a look at Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerads.
My friend Tom King.
Not your friend Tom King. Collecting Issues 1 to 12. So check it out on Wednesday. Okay, bye!
Bye!